With the drop of iOS 13 imminent, I figure it's time for us to get together and have a little chat. If you don't know me, my name is Chris. You're watching Battery Powered. Thanks for tuning in. If you do, thanks for coming back. So what's the big deal with iOS 13? Do I need it? Do I care? Well, it brings dark mode, which everybody knows. I'm not going to talk about that one yet. I will get to that eventually. If you don't know what it is, stay tuned. We'll step through that whole thing. I think one of the bigger features, or one of the bigger changes that iOS 13 brings that people don't realize is this adds Apple Arcade. It is actually part of iOS 13. I didn't realize you can't get it unless you have iOS 13, because I've been running iOS 13 beta since it came out. But Arcade is a $4.99 monthly service, good for iCloud families of up to 6 Apple IDs, so you can share it across the entire family. Each family uses their own iCloud account to sync their game saves, but it is a game download service that Apple offers. They've gotten together with a bunch of developers. They're offering their own, I'll say, privatized games behind the paywall of Apple Arcade, which, by the way, takes up a little slot in the App Store. So your updates are now going to have to move up and over under your user profile information because they replaced that tab at the bottom with Apple Arcade. Yeah. So I launched Arcade unknowingly, or accidentally, I should say, a bunch of times while I was looking to go update my apps because of bad habits. I'm sure you'll do the same. Whether you subscribe or not is up to you. If you're a gamer, it is an acceptable service. I'm not a big phone gamer. I don't have a lot of free time I don't really just enjoy that stuff too much on my phone, ironically. But I did try it out for a bit, and the games that I played seemed pretty decent. There was one that was Mini Motorways that kept sucking me in. I thought I didn't really care about it, and it's like a little map game where you draw routes and highways for cars, and that one sucked me in a little bit. But overall, I think the warning that I would give is if you have an older device, some of these games can be really taxing. I have an iPad Pro and an XS Max at the moment, and playing on both of those was fine. I had no bad experience, but I could tell there was a noticeable change to my battery life, the longer I played. So I think the iPad would probably go 3 or 4 hours. And actually, the Max would probably do the same thing, but you do notice that hit. With the older devices, like some of my friends have been testing on 7s, 8s, and the XS, the X, and they've reported the device gets pretty warm faster, a lot faster than mine does, and the battery life pays a penalty. So again, this is Apple leaning us forward. Now, switching over to another thing you want to know about iOS 13, and we'll call this one fact number 2. It doesn't work on anything older than an iPhone 6S. So if you are in the 6 land, this video isn't even for you, but maybe it is because you should be buying a new iPhone, if you want the latest and greatest, that is. So 6S and up is where this comes to, which I think is good because there's a few features that it changes that are going to require that computing power. If you have a 6S, it's still a fine device. It takes good pictures. It's a great thing, but iOS 13 is the last update or the last version you're going to run. You'll still get 13.1 and you'll still get all the other things it comes along with, but it's probably time to think about moving. Third thing that I like, thing that I'm really interested in, is in the gallery. If you are a live photo fan, you're going to love it. If you're not a live photo fan, you might become one after this. If you take a series of live photos in a row, which, by the way, live photo you can activate by pressing that little asterisk-looking thing on the left-hand side of your camera when you're in camera mode. If that's already turned on, you've been taking live photos like my father-in-law for years now and don't realize that everyone can hear what's going on when you take the picture. Hi, Dad, by the way. But live photos, it now stitches them together in playback mode. So while you're looking at a live photo and you do what would used to be called the peek and 3D touch, you press in to view the action on the picture, it actually plays and will connect the series of live photos together as you play them back. This helps you find which one you maybe want to keep. If not, it gives you that entire moment in live photos. I don't know how it saves or how it compares on space to video. I mean, obviously these are still very large JPEG images, HEIC images, but I would think it's a little bit less, and I like it that it's kind of, you can have like a 4 or 5 second burst of pictures that's not really a burst. It plays back like a video on your phone when you review it, which I just thought is a nice touch, and I'll leave it at that. If you're not into live photos, like I said, this might be the thing to get you there because when you do the playback, it's kind of neat. Captures a little bit more of the moment. Other thing I like, that was number 3. Now we're on number 4 here because we're limiting it to 5 because if I don't limit it to a number, I'm going to run away. Number 4 is mail. I like mail. I use the Apple native mail app. Some people love it, some people hate it. What it has gotten for me in this version is on iOS 12, you could deep press or, essentially peek or pop into your mail from the all inbox view and just jam into your mail and, tap once, it opens the mail. If you kind of deep press with 3D touch, it would peek the mail and let you look at it. But you didn't have a whole lot of options. Or you could take actions on that mail. Now, in iOS 13, once you deep press into that mail, it actually brings up a very small preview of the very top of the mail and gives you a set of actions to take with it. So if you want to just start replying, you know what the mail is, you can tell what you need, you can get that context immediately and hit reply, you can start, you can mark it unread. There's a few things you can do. I like that functionality because it is true one-handedness for email. Because a lot of the time it's like I go to open the mail and it's, oh, I know what this is. Yeah, I see the mail. And then I have to go down and hit reply and I'm moving all around. This lets you have sort of one finger flow, if you will. That's a weird word. And then item number 5, last but not least, is dark mode. If you don't know what dark mode is, it is, I will call it an improvement in your ability to use your phone in dark lighting or suboptimal lighting. If you've been sitting out on your deck and there's a fire going in front of you and you whip out your phone at night, it's trying to turn down the brightness because it's got that bright white background in iMessage and in websites and in email. And unless you have any of the, of course, accessibility features turned on, what dark mode does is it sets all the whites into black, and then it turns all the black text into another color. I would love to say it's white, but it's really like a super light gray. If it was white, it would still burn our eyes, I think, a little bit. But I love this feature. I initially hated it, and I thought I wouldn't care. It's been done on the Mac OS for a little while. Apple's just now bringing it over to iPhone with iOS 13, and it is probably what I would call the banner feature. But like I said, I hated it for a little bit. It reminded me too much of the old Android days, but it has grown on me. I will admit that. You can also, and this is really the way that it should be set up on the device initially, or at least what I would recommend, is you can have it do a time shift. So as the day is light, it will run automatically with the white backgrounds, and then at night it'll shift over to the black backgrounds. That is how I came to appreciate running in dark mode. I did a reboot, I did a new load of software, it was turned on, I didn't realize it, next thing I know I was using it. But it is an improvement to using the device in darker or suboptimal lighting, as I said before. That is the biggest win. Not that you'd be using a phone in a car if you're the driver, but if you're a passenger, getting directions or something like that no longer blinds the driver or shows this bright white light in the car. It is way more convenient for using in situations like that, and way more polite, I guess I'll also say, if you've got a spouse that's sitting next to you in bed or something like that, and you want to check the mail and do some browsing. But overall, I think dark mode is one of the things that I certainly appreciate and enjoy much more than I thought I would on iOS. The others are a couple of things that I felt like maybe you didn't know about. So until next time, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate you spending some time with us today. And if there's anything you want to know more about iOS 13 or questions you have, feel free to hit me down in the comments. Don't forget to give us a like, share, or subscribe. My name is Chris. You've been watching Commuting with Chris here on Battery Powered. Be well, folks.